Okay. All right. I believe we are live, and I'm really excited to talk to you two tonight as I am like really going through it with my dream space right now. And so thank you so much, Jace, for being here. Thank
Mhm.
you, Alexis, as always, for being here. And I'm excited to hear how your dream space has been, as well, as we are in this energy shift of Pluto retrograde. As we're talking tonight, we're in the energy of Beltane, which is the peak of spring. And it's actually the opposite end of the wheel on the wheel of the year. It's the opposite point of Beltane, aka Halloween. So we're all familiar with Beltane in the sense that it is the thinning of the veil towards death and release and letting go. And that's if you're in the northern hemisphere, of course. And now on the other end of the spectrum, in Beltane's energy, we are in the or moving towards life, right? Like the veil is thinning towards life, fertility, and welcoming in the nature spirits and abundance and growth and all of those things, right? So we're bringing in energy. And so I really think that it's interesting that we're in this veil period, as Pluto is going to begin its retrograde cycle tomorrow being May 2nd. And so my dream space has really reflected this energy, essentially. So I'm really excited to talk to you two and see how your dreams have been over the past week, really since Pluto, or since Scorpio full moon happened, which was last Thursday, I believe, right? So the energy is really thick right now. And so I'm just happy that both of you are here. So thank you for being here.
Thank you so much.
Thank you for being.
Awesome. Yeah. Awesome. Okay, so in this live stream, we're just going to share dreams and interpret them. Yesterday, Alexis and I talked about Pluto retrograde in dreams, and we talked a little bit about dream interpretation. We talked a little bit how to, or just the nature of dreams and how it is kind of similar to the act of Pluto, if you will, and that's keeper of the unconscious realm, hidden energies, secrets, taboos, fears, while also holding space for the hidden energy that essentially is like that divine insight, divine guidance that can come through as well. So it's not all bad things that are like suppressed in the, in our consciousness and our unconscious, dealing with trauma. It could be like really enlightening insight and information as well too. And you get all of that within the dream space. So I know both of you are not really astrologers per se, but you do have some sort of a connection with astrology or just intuition and just kind of an understanding of Pluto being the lord of the underworld. How does that fit for you guys? Like, how does that feel for you in your dream space right now, as Pluto's energy is really powerful because it's essentially standing still energetically as it is changing orientation? And so I'm curious how, your dream space has been just in general since like last week, since that Scorpio full moon, into the energy that we're in at the moment.
Well, you want to go ahead, Alexa?
Oh yeah, sure. So for me, I've noticed a a weird shift where I am having a lot more of spotty dreams than full completed dreams. But despite them being spotty, I'm still pulling out really important information from the dream symbols that are popping through. And then last night I had a very long dream and multiple dreams in between. Like some of the, the
Uh-oh, Alexis, you're choppy.
And the way that I interacted was, am I choppy? Can you hear me? Am I good?
I can hear you now. It just
Yeah.
came clear, but
Yeah.
the last thing I really heard clearly was, interestingly enough, how your dreams were kind of choppy.
Yeah.
So
Basically,
it's like the energy's reflecting that.
Yeah, it's just basically, despite them being choppy and spotty, I am pulling some information out. And then last night, all of a sudden, I had this really, really long dream.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, it's been an interesting
Mm.
observation.
It's almost like your consciousness knows it, like shows up when it needs to, or things are clear when it needs to. Like you have yourself kind of programmed. Wow, I'm having deja vu right now. This is crazy. Jace, you've changed the nature of deja vu for me, just like in
Sorry,
general, like
I
from
didn't.
mentioning that one time. No,
I
it's
didn't mean.
amazing, but I'm just in awe.
Yeah. So for my space, it this last week, the dreams that I've been having are a little bit different than what I'm used to having. They're circled around or centered around like a place, and it's not necessarily one specific place. I mean, I think they're different, but they're similar as in what kind of, it's a building kind of, but it's centered around that, and that's not something usually I have. Most of my dreams normally, I'm adventure. I'm going all over the place, going here, going there.
Mm-hmm.
And most of my dreams are I'm helping somebody out. I'm helping this person out. I'm doing this. I'm doing that. There's every now and then
Mm-hmm.
I get the boredom dreams where I'm doing some goofy stuff because hey, when you're bored, you start dreaming and you got to have some fun. But yeah, for around this time, I think it's kind of maybe I guess slowed, like you would say, slowed, choppy, like Alexa would say. It's kind of slowed down its progression to where I'm not hopping around as much. So maybe it's saying, hey, you need to focus more on what's coming on and what's in this to really, get the meat of it, I guess you could say.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Nice. So would you say both of you at this time, like within the past week, would you say that, or at least in this moment within the past couple of days, that your dreams have been like different than the usual?
Yeah.
Yeah, just kind of
Yeah,
like disrupted in a way.
Yeah.
more disruptive than usual in regards to like normally I have normally my dreams don't collapse as often. This
Mm-hmm.
last week my dreams have just been collapsing up until last night.
Yeah.
But yeah,
Interesting.
the
Interesting.
messages are really like in your face. Like even though they're choppy, I'm still getting like information.
Right, right.
There's
Nice.
a
Yeah, and I would
heaviness too. Sorry, I just
yeah. Oh no, 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 you're good. I would just, putting my 2 cents in is that my dreams have been, oh, I think I already mentioned that, but they've been anxious. And for me personally, it feels that I'm experiencing what I felt in the past, that especially not only just what I felt in the past, but like what I anticipate for the dream space. Like the kind of expectation I had that kept me away from like wanting to do,
oh yeah.
dream work, so to speak. And it wasn't really a conscious at that time in the past. It wasn't like, oh, I'm not going to do dream work because I don't want to see it. Like I'm scared of it. Like I didn't have that conscious awareness, but it wasn't until I got into dream work, like intentionally, is when I realized, like, oh shit, this is why I never really went there, because this is like gives no fucks, like no filter, nothing, right? And I'm the kind of person that is sometimes the energy I feel I invite in, because I'm just like, no bullshit, just give it to me. Like I'm ready to transform, I'm ready to work and flow with the energy. And so that's what I've been feeling. All right, so we're going to share our dreams and interpret them. For those of you who are here watching us live, please say hi. Please tell us where you're watching from. Also, share with us, how your dream space has been the past week, and just let us know, if there's anything coming up that you want to share, or if there has been some changes in your dream space that you witness. And if you're watching the replay, definitely share with us in the comments below. So, before we get started in sharing dreams, I do want to light this black candle, and I'm really excited. I did rub it down with my pine oil for those good high vibes and divine perceptions and clarity, and to activate the third eye and intuition. And in addition to that, I'm really excited that I'll just put this here, the candle holder. Can you see it? There's a
Yes,
pentacle on
that's,
it.
Yeah,
So
I
I
see it.
love that.
protection all the way, black candle,
Absolutely.
pentacle. Yes,
Yes.
these are the things I live for. I love alignment, right? All right. So with this candle, I will ignite our collective intention. So my intention is divine protection. Jace?
Mine's divine guidance.
Oh, sorry.
Alex?
My I know I'm like waiting. I'm sorry. I was waiting for more. My intention is lightness and awareness.
Perfect. Lightness, awareness, guidance, and protection. Woo. I'm gonna hold it up. There we go. And I'm just gonna keep it right here, hopefully nice and steady. And then once we're done and complete with the conversation, I will put it on my altar. Awesome. Okay, so you know what I realized after we had our live last time, the three of us, which was really, really cool, is that I was bringing up Aquarius energy. You know, Pluto is stationing retrograde in Aquarius. But nonetheless, the Aquarius energy is very strong right now. And I just got such a kick. And I was so happy that we literally have an Aquarian big three, like in this conversation. I'm the sun, Alexis, you're the moon. Or no, yeah, I'm the sun, Alexis, you're the moon.
I'm
And
ascending.
Jace, yes, like, oh my gosh, isn't that amazing?
It's
I just love little
so
things like that.
I love that. I love that. Even like the my God, synchronicity of the Anubis. How do you pronounce that? I'm sorry. The
Anubis?
creature. Yeah, Anubis.
Yeah.
You know, you've been having a connection to it. You, Jace, wanted to use that as like your front
Like
for
your
this.
avatar, yeah.
And I am reading a book and just got to a really important part in the book where that character, that creature, is like really heavily involved in it. So that too, just I don't know. Small little things. I know.
I love it, the synchronicities. So actually, that's a perfect segue for the dream sharing. Thank you, Alexis. Like everything is flowing so nicely. I'm really in awe because my energy has been really wacky. And when we started the live stream, my typical Capricorn moon really wanted to come out and do its thing, but I have resulted to the Pisces in my chart, and I'm just flowing and I'm being cool, and now things are situated. So that's perfect. So I guess I would like to go first and share my dream because I feel once I share, I can clear and then I can be really present for what you two share, if that's cool.
Absolutely.
Sure.
All right. So I did not write my dream. I started to, and I don't know why. And I was talking about this last night, but I've been feeling really overwhelmed with getting to the recording part of the dream. And I think that this is again, like I'm noticing an old pattern. So I'm like, what is going on here? Like I'm noticing emotional patterns, my connection to the dream, and then my difficulties, like taking the time to take time for myself to write these things down and, you know, so I can reflect on them. So I didn't write it down. I tried so hard today to get to it, didn't get to it. So I'm just going to share literally what I remember, which is not really like the main thing I remember is the dream figure. So
whatever works for you.
Yeah. And that's the thing. I remember you two mentioning just write down something, which I did. I wrote down, I didn't even write the dream figure, which I feel that is symbolic within itself. Like I just didn't get to it and I want to write it. And in the past, because I feel like this dream figure was in my dream space a year ago around this time, around Beltane. And so, and maybe even when I recall, like this time of year is when I do have like really intense anxiety. For whatever reason, I didn't even make that connection until this stream and then reflecting on last year and then thinking back again to, you know, to different timelines or the past. So anyways, this stream happened on April 29th. So that was Monday morning. It was like early, like 2 a.m. The moon was a waning gibbous phase in Capricorn. So this is, my moon is in Capricorn. I was born on a dark moon, but nonetheless, so it's a waning, part of the waning cycle. My cycle, as far as my menstrual cycle, is day 20, which means I'm in the luteal phase. So this is the time where I'm prone to having anxious dreams and like a lot of dreams that just don't make sense. But there's always like one meaty one, and the meaty one is usually like the mean one. So it's right in alignment with all of that. So my emotion within the dream, I would say, was there was fear, but it was like a healthy fear. Like it wasn't like, it was just like a natural fear that you have, but I didn't let it consume me in the dream. And I was more so annoyed than anything. And so essentially what I remember is that I was at a house, and this is what I wrote. The only thing I did wrote, I was at a house, question mark. It had the feeling of a house, but then it felt like like some sort of retail building. Like it was pretty big, pretty spacious. And I remember there were 2 floors. So at some point, I remember being like on the top floor, the main floor, and someone was holding my hand. Like I was like, someone wanted to show me something. And they walked me, and it wasn't anyone I knew, but they walked me into the room, and they didn't turn the lights out, but they did turn them off, right? I didn't see them actually turn them off, but they commanded the light for it to go dark. And so when it was dark, this little weird creature, like almost, if you've seen Princess Mononoke, it was like those like forest like creatures, you know what I mean? Like with the weird eyes and stuff. Like it was like that, but it wasn't like, it kind of gave me that, like as far as the size and the weirdness and how it can be kind of scary, but you know, not necessarily. And it didn't have the 2 eyes. I think it was just like 1 eye, but it was basically that same kind of like shape and creature like. And so it would come out when the lights were off. And then when they turned them on, it would go away. And sorry, I need to put my phone on do not disturb always. Or my computer. So then, yeah, so I remember they were like, "Oh, are you not afraid?" And I wasn't, like I said, I wasn't afraid. It felt weird, it felt eerie and off, but I was like, "No, no, this is fine." So then I remember we went down to the basement floor, the bottom floor, and there was like like 2 tables or 2 desks is what I'm seeing in my mind's eye right now, like those old school desks that have like, you know, it's like the wood on top and whatever, there's like the opening and you slide your books and stuff in there. So
Yeah.
it's like 2 of those. And then there was like someone sitting in front of those 2, like facing me as I'm walking through. And there's this like snake coming through, but it's like, it's a really big snake. It kind of gives me the vibe of the snake from, what's that movie?
Harry
Oh,
Potter.
man.
Anaconda.
No, it's no, oh, Beetlejuice.
Oh, the
So
sandworm.
yeah, the sandworm. Yeah. So it's kind of has that kind of size, not as big, but that weird energy. And like, you know how it has a weird face. And this snake kind of had
Yes.
like a humanish weird face, but it was, I don't know, it was so weird. I can't even describe it, but it was kind of demonic like. And they kept asking me that, like, are you afraid? And you know, you should be scared. And I wasn't. I was like, no, like I'm not, you know, I'm not afraid. And I just remember that was kind of the overall theme where it was like, are you afraid? And I was just like, no. But when I woke up, because I woke up pretty much after that point, because in the dream, they were basically trying to make me afraid, right? They were trying to conjure fear. And so, Jace, I also thought about recently how you mentioned that dream figures can, you know, they can be different spirits and stuff that will try to like get energy from you in certain ways. So, with that, when I woke up from this dream, I woke up in a panic attack, or not a panic attack. Sorry. I usually would woke up in a panic attack, but I woke up and my heart was like beating really fast. And it was like about to turn into an anxiety attack. And then it would have led into a panic attack if this was even a year ago. But I was able to, you know, calm myself down through breathing, which I've woken up with heart palpitations from dreams, like, you know, since I've been doing dream work, but I always know to like calm myself. And it was really hard for me to go back to sleep. And so just to give a little bit more context or how this is related to the previous year, I had a really bad bout of dreams over the course of like 3 days, but they weren't necessarily dreams. They were in the in between. And in the most powerful one that I had, which I was also like doing energy work with the chakras. So I feel that I activated the Kundalini without, which was my intention, but I wasn't fully grounded as I should have been. So, anyways, in the in between, there was the same snake figure with the like person head and all of that. And it was basically trying to like bite me. I think it did bite me, which is funny, Jace, because you mentioned just as a example of dreams, like in our chat, like right before this, you had no idea. But yeah, so, and I'm not afraid of snakes. I actually am fond of them, especially through via spiritual practice. But it's just really interesting that this figure, so at that time a year ago, right, with the in between experience, I woke up out of that, like woke myself up, jolted myself up, because before I woke up, I was literally strangling it. I don't remember if I like popped its head off or whatever, but it was crazy. And I woke up in a panic attack to the point where I couldn't lay down. I had to come outside, like, and this was like 5 a.m. I had to come outside to my backyard, literally put my hands on the ground with just like a robe on out in the backyard and just chanting Kali's mantra and just like sending the energy into the earth. Cause I was like, what the fuck is this? Like, I need to ground. And it was crazy. And so I'll give my own personal, just brief interpretation, because this was pretty interesting as I was writing this down. Or no, when I did my card reading this morning, I pulled the devil, which to me, and I want to show you guys because it's interesting.
Oh, I love your skirt. Sorry.
Oh, thanks. It's actually a bathing suit cover up, but I wear it as a skirt.
I love that.
So I hope that you guys can see this kind of clear, but I don't know.
Yeah,
there's a devil.
Cool looking card.
Oh,
so it's really cool. It doesn't freak me out, but I was like,
wait, is that
devil? I know devil energy. This is the dream of Nile tarot.
Oh, okay. No,
this is the devil card.
I thought maybe that was the Anubis.
Anubis. No,
Anubis.
This is Seth.
Remember it.
Seth, yeah, right. Seth. So I was reading about this because when I saw it, I was like, because that dream. No, I had another interesting dream this morning, but I don't think I'm going to share that because of time. But I'll share with you guys later. But with this, I read the description because I was like, I know devil energy because I connect with devil energy as like tricksters. And I don't think there's like one devil. There could be different spirits that are just antagonizers. And they could be trying to, like you said, feed off of you for whatever reason. And so I looked and I read the description of this. I wasn't really surprised to see this. And I saw it mentioned the snake, and actually mentioned how Seth was the protector against APEP, which is like a snake demon in the underworld. Yeah, that tried to basically kill Ra or attack Ra. So Seth would protect Ra, essentially Ra's journey through the underworld from that snake. And I was like, and I started looking up APEP, and I made the connection with Mayat, where it's like APEP is the ultimate darkness, and there's some kind of counter. Well, obviously there's a counter influence or counter like battle, I guess you could say, between with APAP and Ra, but there's some elements of Mayat coming through with the truth and the balance and the light to kind of do away with that darkness. So I don't know, it's really interesting because I've been seeing Mayat come up a lot lately. I think I mentioned it like in my cosmic climate, maybe not. I think I did, but anyways, so that is that. What do you guys think? Let me know if you need me to repeat anything. You have questions.
Go ahead, Alexis.
I was gonna say, do you want to go first?
No. You go ahead because I got some stuff.
Well, right off the bat, when I was listening to this story, I kind of was like, at first, I was like, why are you like following this person? Is this person a dream person? Is it somebody you know? Did you have that, like, did you know who they were, or did you have a feeling of who they were, or were they just a random dream
It
person?
was a random dream person.
And you said the creature, you had the dream about this same creature last year around the same time.
I think like I made that connection. The energy feels similar. Like it wasn't in the dream this time. So it's interesting where it was last year, it was more direct. It was in the in between, which is where a lot of these, you can say demonic, these antagonizing energies come to me,
Mm-hmm.
because that's where they basically fuck with me. Um, and that's where I have my spiritual battles, is what I call it. And this time, that if it's the same figure type energy, it was in the actual dream space, and it seemed pretty distant, even though it was there. But all the other figures were questioning if I was like afraid, and I wasn't. But my body had a response when I woke up.
See, that's
So
so interesting to me because it's almost like you were being tested with this source of anxiety, or this source of maybe like something inside that you have maybe been avoiding or something. But because of your progression over the last year and how much you've changed and how much you've grown, your ability to deal with that thing has changed. And even though you
yeah,
woke up with this anxiety, you were handling it like a motherfucking boss when you were dealing with it in the moment. Like you were just calm, collected, following it, trying to figure out what's
yeah,
going on, observing. And the thing didn't attack you this time, which is something that I find
yeah.
really, really notable. I've been bitten by snakes in my dreams. I There's a whole thing around that. And
Mm,
it's scary. Like it really does it. Even if it doesn't scare you, the shock of it can come with you when you wake up too. Like I've woken up
yeah, yeah.
shocked at the fact that I was just bitten by a snake. But the fact that it didn't attack you this time, to me, just shows that you have protection. Like you are more
Mm,
protected, more guarded from these things. You know how to handle them better, and you know how to kind of like understand what's going on in your emotions, how you're feeling, and how you're dealing with it. And you're very aware of that. I understand why you woke up with the anxiety because of how intense that was. But the fact that you
mm-hmm.
weren't in the dream feeling that intensity, it's like it's like you just woke up from like a battle. Like
Yeah,
during
yeah.
the experience, you're calm and collected. But as soon as that is over, you're like, fuck.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. No, that resonates.
Yeah. So my little bit of interpretation, it's kind of interesting that you said what you dreamed, because last night I dreamed something kind of similar. I
Whoa.
dreamed of a
Okay.
mansion that had little shops inside of it.
Mm,
It was an old
mm-hmm.
mansion. It had like a restaurant. It had these other little shops inside with crystals and stuff like that. I'll go into that later, but it's really interesting that you brought that up. So like what Alexis said, I think that it's actually a progress and it is a test, because you showed that you were no longer fighting it. You were no longer scared of it in your dream space. Your body still hasn't caught up to the fact that, hey,
Yeah.
this is okay. I'm okay with this. It's
Yeah,
only
I'm
been a
safe.
little
Yeah.
bit, right? You've only been doing it really seriously, like what? You said you had it last year
Like
and
a
you did have
year.
it. Yeah.
Yeah.
So
That's huge
Mm-hmm.
progression.
yeah, it's good
Mm-hmm.
progression. You're progressing to where eventually you'll start having these dreams, and it sounds horrible and scary, but eventually you'll have these dreams and it will not affect you because you'll overcome these fears. Some of these dreams are meant to basically test us and say, hey, you need to get over this thing because it's part of your progression. You need to. It's sometimes a guide will give it to you. Sometimes it's because it's something that's traumatic that's happened to you in the back, way back whenever. So
Mm-hmm.
yeah, I think, and I thought it was
Mm.
really interesting when you said that. That's why I smiled. I was like, wow. So there's some connect. I think there might be connection or something in there. But mine's got a little bit more
Yeah,
different
I'm
there.
excited. Yeah, to hear.
So
Yeah. No, I definitely feel more empowered, and interestingly enough too, just my connection right now, or building my connection to the solar energy, or combined really solar and lunar, and the connection with the Leo energy and the goddess that I'm connecting with, and just the energy of power and courage and bravery. Like it all makes sense. And
Absolutely.
so, yeah,
Your
I feel a
guides
lot
in your
better. Yeah.
dreams are insane. Like the fact I don't know, it's almost like the dream that you had with these previous guides, like the real big one that we had just talked about, where you walked past them and they bowed to you. It's almost like they were, and then
Yeah.
you were walking into this kind of fighting, like this
Crap.
kind of battle, and then you woke up.
Yeah.
It was almost like they were acknowledging how ready you are, and how like
Yeah.
strong you are, and how protected you are, and that like you're gonna overcome whatever it is.
Yeah,
Yes,
that sounds
thank
good
you.
right
Oh my
there.
gosh, yes. I feel really good. I'll have to share the second dream with you guys like directly later. So,
Okay.
because I really want to get your read on that, but we'll save that. Awesome. Thank you. Okay, who wants to go next?
I guess I
Jace,
should.
go.
Yeah, especially since ours might have some similarities, so that'd be
Okay.
cool to
Yes,
see.
Yes.
yes.
So I could start with Mondays or last nights, whichever one you want.
Let's start with Monday because I want to see how the flow might
Okay.
have changed. Because I know there's a similarity between both of those streams, right?
Yes, there is. So
Okay.
that one started out, I was at a school and my mother was there. So I was at a school and my mom was there. I'm watching my mom. And for some reason, she starts doing something to my dad's pickup, which is there for some reason. I'm like, okay, what's going on here? And I got kind of some feelings, and this has to do with my older brother, how he was picked on by him all the time. So that's kind of a thing. But anyways, the she was doing this, and it kind of upset me because I don't like, and that's one of the reasons why I do the whole dreams where I'm saving people and whatever. I don't like people picking on other people because when I
Mm-hmm.
was littler, people used to, my brother used to pick on me. I'm way bigger than him, obviously, now, but anyways. So when she did that, it kind of made me upset. So I actually went over to her car and I said, "Oh, you're going to do that? Well, I punch a hole on the side of it." And she like instantly, she like changed. She's like, "I'm sorry, I'm sorry, sorry." And then I look at his car and his car is fine. So I was like, "Okay, well, I'll fix yours." So I fixed hers. Um, After that happened, it shifted. The dream completely shifted to me living in a
Mm-hmm.
mansion, an old style mansion. I mean,
Mm-hmm.
these old style mansions were like, it had the floorboard, the wooden floorboard, or not the trim, I guess you could say, around, and old style wallpaper, and vault not vaulted ceilings, but almost like his cathedral ceilings or whatever like that. And
Mm-hmm.
it wasn't just me, but there was a bunch of people living there. And I'm trying to go to sleep, but they kept on making noise. So I'm like, I'm gonna go to sleep. And suddenly, like, I hear a cry, like it's a kid or something. So I get up because there's a kid. I'm like, I gotta get up because I want to find out that nothing's happening to this poor kid. And they had found this giant tapestry that had fallen down, and they were trying to slap it up on the side of the wall with water, like it was wallpaper or something. And tapestry, that's all knitted together or whatever. And I'm like, you guys can't do this stuff. It doesn't work that way. So I'm there trying to hook it up there for them, and the front door's open, and that's when a little girl comes in, and a couple starts following in afterwards. I knew the little girl was going to come in. I didn't know who she was, but I knew she was supposed to be here. And then the couple came in. Well, it's snowing outside and it's kind of hazy. So when I'm looking at them, they look like they're, you know, I don't know, scary because they're not scary, but like they've got like something coming off of them. But when they come in, I noticed they have furry jackets on. That was the whole furry jackets on, and I'm like, oh, okay. And the guy comes in and he's like, it's good to be home because this was, I guess, his house or something, or maybe he was related or something. It was supposedly he'd been there before, maybe he was an ancestor or whatever, and this was his house. And I let him in, and he said like he knew me. He said my name, and I normally don't hear my name when I'm in dreams. When I heard my name, I was like, I'm done.
That's interesting. Yeah.
Because when they said it, he just popped me right out. So that was Mondays.
He
There's a
said
lot of
I'm dead.
that was just Mondays. There's a lot of stuff in there. I mean, woo,
That's hilarious.
all my dreams have a lot of stuff usually. So I can go into the next one, or you can go on that one and
Yeah, yeah. Let me hear the next one
okay.
since you're sharing pairs. If
Since
that's
I'm
cool, is
sharing
that cool,
pairs.
Alexis?
All
Okay.
right.
Oh yeah, no, I'm this gives me more time. I try to write
Okay.
down your
All right.
guys'
Yeah.
dreams. So
What? Yeah.
All right. So last night's dream, another mansion, different mansion, not the same one, different. When I'm inside this mansion, it's like there is an upstairs. It's 2 stories, obviously. There's an upstairs. When you go in the upstairs, there's little shops up there. In the downstairs, if you go over to the right or the left, I'm sorry. I mean, it's got the wood paneling and everything, and it has a long dining room table, and that's where people would go to eat, like the restaurant kind of thing. And then if you kept going further, there was a shop, and it had all these little crystal trinkets all over the place. So I went to the gift
Mm.
shop, this little crystal shop, and it had this huge purple crystal that's like as big as my arm, and
whoa.
it's vibrating and humming. And my cats
Mm. Mhm.
suddenly just jump into the house and start running around. Well, when my cats are around, I have to freaking find them. So I just went around looking for them to find where they're at. And one of them goes into a ballroom. It's this huge ballroom with a giant grand ceiling and chandelier. And some of the stuff is all covered up. But there was a black cat over there that wasn't mine that started playing with the other cats. So it was like, what's this other black cat here? And I was like, okay. At this point, I realized I owned the mansion, though. And at first, I thought I was only visiting, but I figured, oh, I own it. Well, so some guy or whatever was trying to get me out of it because they wanted to have it, and I didn't let them do it. And then the merchants or whoever were living inside the house, even though it was supposedly mine, started singing. They started actually singing when they talked to me. They're like, "Would you like to have the beef?" or something like, crazy stuff like that. I'm like, what's going on here? I've not watched Disney or anything. What's going on? Where's the musicals coming from?
God, that's so funny.
So, and then it didn't last long. It's slowed down. And then before I woke up, I went back to the crystals thing because I found a bunch of crystals over in this little fireplace, and they looked like they somehow belonged there. So I took them and I sat them next to this crystal, the big giant one, and they all sucked into the crystal and it started vibrating and glowing, and then I woke up.
Wow.
Wow, that's so interesting and
Weird stuff.
hilarious and
Right.
entertaining. I feel like
Well, just
wow.
like Jace, how you and I share dreams all the time, your cats are definitely a recurring
Oh
like
yeah, I
dream
know
thing.
that.
They're
I know
always
they are
there.
because I'm
I
always
love
trying to
it.
catch them because if it's not them running
They're
down in
always
the
up to
middle of a
something.
jungle with
Yeah.
freaking snakes everywhere, and I'm like, oh my God, I hope they don't get bit. Or,
Right.
just running somewhere on a river or something. It's yeah, constantly.
And then the musical, didn't you have a dream like in the past couple weeks of like a
Yeah.
musical,
Yeah.
like
It
people
was
just like
weird. I was
singing
in some
about?
weird town and they started singing stuff. And I'm like, what the heck is going on here? Can't people talk normal?
Yeah, this
What's
is really
what's
interesting.
what's interesting to me is that not only did I have my own personal memory, like dream memory from a small part of your dream,
Oh.
the three dreams I'm going to share with you, because two of them are just like really small, but have themes of music, snakes, and crystals. So
What? This is wild. Can't
I'm
make it
like
up.
blown away. Like this part in your dream where it says you're in a big like Victorian house, trying to sleep but couldn't because there's a lot of people and noises, and
Yeah.
then you heard a child, so you got to go in. I had almost an exact same dream to that, but the building I was in was like an old brick building, a part of like a housing system rather than
Mm.
a big Victorian, but almost same circumstances where it's felt like there are a ton of people staying there and they're being noisy on the top floor. So I can't sleep. And then I hear someone, like a child, whatever noise I think it was a cry of like despair or whatever, something where they were in it. I had almost that exact dream. So that was really interesting.
Yeah, I think with the music, it's really interesting because recently you and I were talking about music and you were talking about the instruments you play. And then we were sharing, I know I shared with you some sound healing music, which was like more vocals than anything. And so
Mm-hmm.
it's really interesting where I feel that there might even be an invitation to playing music again at some point, or maybe just for fun,
Yeah.
especially because your cats like led you to the singing or the music. Yeah, yeah, didn't they, where the cats lead you? It led you to
They
another
led me
cat,
to
but
like a
wasn't there like
ballroom, and
some
that's
sort
when
of
it
the
started everything.
ballroom?
Yeah.
Yeah.
But they actually
Oh,
went
that
to
sounds so
another
cool.
cat. That wasn't one of my
Yeah.
cats. So it was
Yeah.
somebody else's.
Probably
And then
mine. It was probably Wednesday that showed
It
up.
was a black cat. So
Well, and then I thought about Basset, but even more so Hathor, because Basset is one said to be one of the seven Hathors, and Hathor is among so many things she's attributed to. Music and dance is definitely one of those. And again, we were just talking about this not too long ago, where like she is the goddess of like the sistrum is one of those instruments or ancient instruments that she's associated with, which is
mm,
percussion. We were talking about that. And just like even the crystals, like I feel also through playing music, and this is just my read. I don't know if this is like what your dream is saying, but just through crystals and the music, there's like an invitation. Look, she's present. There's an invitation to that this will lift your vibration, right? This will elevate you. This will bring some sort of shift that maybe you are inviting or you desire, or maybe like you're just, you don't know yet. I don't know.
yeah.
But that's where I felt like there's some sort of invitation to the party or to like this type of vibe.
Yeah. I
I
mean,
think,
that,
sorry, you can. I was gonna go off of that, but
No,
go ahead.
no.
go ahead. No, I said, go ahead.
Okay. So the other thing I wanted to bring in is like Pluto is, bringing a lot of that energy in. And I feel like with Monday's dream starting off with kind of having these like mixed emotions and experiences around your family, might be pointing you to, something deeper in your shadow that either has been addressed already, just needs more attention because they never fucking go away. It's like follows you to
Mm-hmm.
death. But
Yeah.
and then just going into all of these places where it feels, and I don't know if you felt, did you feel safe in the mansion that you were in, that you owned? Like,
Yeah.
did you
I,
feel
I've,
safe?
there's rarely dreams where I don't feel safe anymore. I mean, it's very
Yeah.
rare. So,
Well, because in this, it almost seems like here are these things in your shadow that need to be addressed, but also look how far you've come and look at all of the things you've achieved. So that balance is there of like, yeah, there might still be, work, it's endless to do with your emotional mental state. However, you already have all of this, so don't be deterred. Don't be afraid to you're not going to go anywhere. You're doing a good job. These
mhm.
things are important and heavy, but you also are light and have gotten to a point that's just, And I feel like the cats are just so comforting, guiding
Yeah,
you in different
Yeah.
directions and leading you to different things. Like, I love that.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
they're always doing that. So,
Yeah, and one other thing with the first stream, just the giant tapestry. I feel whenever I think about tapestries, especially in astral travel and in dreams, it really brings me to just the concept of like the weaving of our lives, the different lifetimes coming together, and how we're continuously like weaving the tapestry of life, so to speak. And I think this was something I can't remember if it was mentioned in one of I feel like it was mentioned in one of Dolores Cannon's book, like one of her clients through the trance took her, they ended up in like in the Akashic record, which the Akashic record was like a big tapestry or like multiple tapestries or something of that nature. So that's what came to mind, especially, I don't know, just like the vibe of the mansion I felt there, or I feel with both of them was, wait, the first one is Victorian, right?
They're
Or was that
both
the second
pretty
one?
much the same kind of, they look similar, but the layouts were different. So like in the
Yeah.
inside of one was like more like I was only on the first floor, but it was a
Mm-hmm.
huge,
Yeah.
building. And the other one, it was
Oh,
a
right. It was
mansion,
like the
but
one with the little
when I
shops.
went and looked to the right, it went stairs up and there was like little shops and stuff and went
Oh,
over
okay.
that way. So I
Yeah, I
don't
feel
know.
like the first one felt uh like a, I don't know, past life. Did you kind of mention that? Or
Yeah,
something of, it
so
feels like something of that nature,
so
I
that's
feel.
kind of what I thought about the
Or an
first
alternate
one
lifetime.
because of the guy, because he seemed very familiar when I looked at him, and
Mm-hmm.
he said that he owned this place and or that he didn't own it. He said that, oh, this was like coming home, and I'm like, oh yeah, and I'm like, and he's like, this is home. And when I said it,
Mm,
that's when
yeah.
he kind of said my name, and it kind of woke me up, and it kind of like kicked me out of there. So
Yeah, it definitely is giving me the Akashic record. You're somewhere else, like, doing
yeah,
something. Astral traveling.
it's possible. I've
Cool.
done it before, so
Awesome.
It's
Yeah.
insane. The dreaming like that is insane, and it's so
I
chaotic.
love it.
Like you don't know
Yeah.
which direction you want to go because it's all so crazy.
there's so much. Yeah.
Right. All right, Alexis, are you ready? You know what you're sharing?
Yes. Yep. So I'm
Okay.
gonna share my dreams, and these were small and spotty. So the dreams that I'm sharing are from April 28th, Sunday, the 29th, Monday, and then the 30th, Tuesday. Um, so the 28th, I had a dream that, and again, it was very spotty. I only had this, like I was only in it for, it felt like maybe a couple minutes. So George and I, my husband George and I, were hanging out. We were outside, and there was a snake that had crawled into his things and was trying to attack him. Now, I'm not somebody who is very violent. I don't like the idea of being violent towards animals, so I do not condone this. But in the dream, my defense to save George from this, what to me felt like a very poisonous snake, was to, I kind of like threw it on the ground and then stomped on it until it was stomped into several pieces. And I actually drew a picture of it, like the way that it was, I don't know if you could see that, but the way that
Oh
it
yeah.
was stomped, where like the bone was
Wow.
still connected, but the meat was had been stomped away.
Wow.
Which is brutal and violent behavior that I wouldn't, I don't know. It's
Hmm.
when it comes to like life or death situation, I understand that it can be tricky. I don't
Yeah.
want to have done that, but I did recognize that there was an aspect of freedom in taking things into my own hands and
Hmm.
being the one to save him. So I definitely felt empowered despite the like stress of the situation. Which I also like have weird feelings about because I don't like the idea of killing things. I know it. Look,
Hmm.
it's. I know I repeated it. I have a thing. It's. I'm sorry. So I'm gonna go right into the next day dream. So this is April 29th, and that's Monday. So I had a difficult time going to sleep because when I had my eyes closed, I was under the covers and I could just hear people in the room. Like it was so loud in the room, and what like if I kind of just sat up, there was no noise, but as soon as I laid my head down, it was like all of this chatter and all of this noise. It was really bizarre. So I had a hard time that night getting to sleep. But the dream consisted of my husband and another person kind of together ignoring me and kind of like downplaying my existence and not including me in things. It was the exclusion was very to the point and it was rude. And like this other person, they had like this condescending like look that they knew they were doing this to me. Um, but I know that at one point I call out I call out for the blue tiger's eye that you sent me, right? So this blue tiger's eye, which yours is about this big, but in my dream it was huge. Like it was right in front of me. It was huge.
Nice.
For protection.
Nice.
And it presented itself in the dream. So I know that made a difference. I didn't, nothing much happened after that aside from waking up. And then on Tuesday night, right? Tuesday morning, not Tuesday night. I had dreamt that I was on a huge spaceship. I knew it was a spaceship. Like I didn't look out the window. You know where you are.
Mm-hmm.
And I was in this room. It was an extremely long room, and it had a black pool. And I knew that what was in the pool wasn't water, but I didn't know what it was. And it was this black pool that was almost the size of this really, really long room. And the dream people who I was with, they were taking off their clothes and getting into the pool. And I knew in my head that you can't be in this pool for very long. Like this is going to, kill you basically. And it did. It ended up killing them. And they would disappear into the pool, and then they would walk back into the room from where they came the first time. And I was like, don't go in the pool, you're going to die. And they weren't listening. They didn't, it was like I was invisible. I wasn't there. Which in itself was very interesting, but this continuously happened where they would die, disappear, and come back through the door and do it over and over again. So those were 3 dreams that I had over the last couple nights. The real long one I had was last night, and that one had the music, but I know I already shared a lot with those 3 dreams, so I'm not going to go into it. But yeah, there was a very interesting collection of dreams.
Yeah.
Hmm.
So with the first dream, my question for you is what do snakes symbolize for you? You don't necessarily have to answer that on the spot, like right now, but that's just what I wrote down immediately.
Well, I'm if you want, I can.
Yeah, sure, yeah.
So for me, snakes symbolize like a sense of rebirth because of the skin that they shed. So I think of the skin shedding, rebirth. And then I also, of course, think of the oh my God, I'm blanking on the name of it. Basically, the snake eating its own tail.
Ouroboros.
Yes,
yeah.
I kept wanting to say that, but my brain kept going to Aurora Borealis, and I know that's not it.
Sounds like a cool name too.
But
right.
yeah, I have a deep connection. My tattoo is snakes.
Mm-hmm.
And I used to fear them deeply. I mean, it was like when I was a kid, my biggest fear was snakes coming into my bed and killing me in the middle of the night. Like I would have my blankets tucked in from head to toe to make sure there was no space for any snakes to be near me. So it was it's an interesting relationship that I've had.
So then my question, or what I wrote down, is, it's so interesting. Like that was the first go-to. So I'm like, what are you, there's a very protective energy, of your husband in that situation. So it's like, what do you feel like? Why did you not want him to get bitten by the snake? As Jace, when we had a conversation earlier, you were mentioning how a snake bite could be a transfer of energy, in a sense, say wisdom, or basically that's why I asked, what does a snake symbolize for you, and why wouldn't you want that? Why wouldn't you want him to have that, experience, connection, whatever? Why were you, did you basically, I was like, maybe you feel he's not ready, was just what I wrote. So that's kind of what I got.
It felt so dangerous. It didn't feel like it didn't feel like something he was going to benefit from in the dream. It literally was, this is a venomous snake that's going to kill you right now, and I cannot let you cannot let this happen, and I need to make my decision right now and decide how I'm going to basically handle the situation. It is interesting. It's funny because now I like snakes a lot now, and I'm in the summer, I'm like around like 50 of them at a time
Mm-hmm.
because under my work is like one of the biggest snake nests in New Jersey.
Oh, cool.
So like, yeah, it's pretty neat. But so that was just interesting, and the fact that it didn't separate like the way it would if you were to smash a snake,
Mm-hmm.
like having it kind of spaced out like that. I don't know. It was weird.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I'm I'm thinking it's definitely based off of your past stuff. Even though you're better with them now, you don't you your initial or your first reaction was this is dangerous. I know it's dangerous. I'm going to protect him no matter what. And that's like a natural instinct. I mean, humans still have this natural instinct when they see snakes, they kind of worry about it. If if you've been around them for a long period of time, you can start looking at them and notice, oh, well, that's not going to be that's a rat snake. That ain't going to do
Oh
anything there.
yeah, absolutely.
Or,
Yeah.
that's a garter snake. That's not dangerous. But, for somebody who's not used to it, oh, it's a snake. It could be dangerous. Just
Yeah.
act before something happens. It seems like you were
Mm-hmm.
just doing a reaction, and that's no, there's the consequences are you just did the action. You needed to get it done because you already knew this, you didn't want it to happen. So
Yeah.
it
Mm-hmm.
went against some of your values. And sometimes that's going to happen. Sometimes you have to do
Yeah.
something. It comes into a situation where you have to go against your values, and it feels like you're losing part of yourself, but it really isn't, especially if it's like something, life or death or whatever you want to call it. It's
That's a really good point.
yeah.
That's a really good
Mm-hmm.
point. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Like sometimes you have to do things that are outside of your own value in order to protect, certain circumstances,
Yeah.
it's that's a really good point.
Hmm. So what
So
about
in
the second one?
the
Go ahead.
second dream, I feel, and you shared this dream with me, I think the day you had it,
Mm-hmm.
but I feel, of course, the blue tiger's eye stood out because that was something I gifted you. And I had no idea you had already had a connection with blue tiger's eye. I didn't actually I told you I didn't want to give it to you. I was like, no, I was looking for just any crystal. Like I go for what speaks to me, but it was like
Of
that
course.
one, and I've never seen that before, and I got it probably, it was definitely, I had it less than a year, and it was like, this is the one, this is the one, this is the one. I'm like, all right. And no, but it made me so happy. I was like, oh my gosh, that makes sense. And so naturally, of course, that's what stood out. And you didn't share that it was really big when you told, or at least I don't remember that when you shared the dream initially. So essentially what I got with that is like, with the nature of that dream, just how you said they were ignoring you pretty much,
Yeah,
and
they
they
were
were just kind of
excluding me and
mainly,
ignoring
yeah,
me in a purposeful
yeah,
way,
yeah,
like they knew what they were doing.
yeah. So I think that holding that, or what I wrote down is just hold that crystal whenever you feel, I think oh, okay, you're back. Hold that crystal whenever you feel, that feeling, whatever that brought forth, if you're feeling that in your waking life, or just the nature of whatever is, bringing that forth, like the relationships that you have that energy, just hold that crystal, when you are in that energy, that emotion. That's what I got.
Yeah, it really seemed to indicate like an open wound, something that hasn't healed yet, that I've been
Mm-hmm.
struggling with for a while, but I'm consistently working to heal it. It's just something that's going to take a while. And the fact that I have, someone like you who is a very safe person and a very healing person to me, I feel more healed when we have our conversations. It's like channeling that type of energy that you put out, which is safety in my own
Mm-hmm.
dreams, to help deter, like to help
Oh, that's really
kind of
sweet.
overcome that feeling within myself.
Oh my gosh, that's so sweet. Sorry,
Yeah, so weird.
we got a comment in here.
Oh,
All right. So thank you, Sam, for commenting and showing love. Sam says, "Hey guys, good evening. I wanted to see if I can ask a question for Lex. How did you know that the black pool wasn't safe for the dream people to be traveling through?" Brings us to
I
the
just knew.
third dream.
Yeah, I just knew.
Guys.
It just you just know, like in your dreams, you just know when something isn't comfortable, when something isn't right. It's you just know.
And he
You
says, "Is
know,
this black water something you're familiar with from other dream time, other dream times? Like, have you experienced that before in dreams, like black water?"
I have. I just can't right off the top of my head like remember exactly which because I'm just my brain's on these dreams, so I didn't
Yeah.
think so. But I don't know. I'll have to look through because I'm sure. I mean, even the river dream that I had a week ago. I think I shared that a week ago. The river was almost black. So it's but I knew
Yeah.
that the river was water. In this dream, the
It was
what was in the
something
pool
else.
was not water liquid. It
But it
was
was,
almost like if obsidian was liquid.
ooh. And it's really interesting because it's like they did die, but they came back again. And it was like a loop, right? So it's really, when did you have that dream? Was that this morning? Last night or, you know?
I had that too. Not this morning, but yesterday morning.
Okay. So that just feels like the energy that we're in right now, or the energy of Pluto retrograde, like that jumping into the abyss, right? Or the unknown, and not like feeling that you're going to lose yourself, but then you come right back, or even the nature of karma, where, you know, or just the, what am I saying? The life, death, rebirth cycle, right? Like it's the looping, and it makes me think of the Ouroboros. And so,
Yeah.
that was something that stood out to me because I was like, ooh, it's a loop. Like I was really excited about that. And yeah, so Sam was like, have you traveled through it before? And then he said, oh wow, like a portal. Yeah. Yeah,
Yeah, yeah,
that's really
almost like a
interesting.
portal, but it almost makes me feel as though that Pluto is really for like really heavily pushing for me to change some really important, even you know, saving
She's super choppy.
my husband
Is she, can you hear her, Jace, or is she choppy?
she's choppy, but she's starting to come in.
from the snake. It was probably. Can you hear me now? Am I good?
Yeah.
Yeah, I can hear you.
Can you
Okay,
hear
you
me?
just froze.
Okay.
Yeah, the last thing I said is
Sorry.
like you said is pushing you to change. Oh no, that's okay. It's connection. Maybe your energy is really just like high vibe over there. And you got the crystal, right? What crystal is that, by the way? Like in front of the,
This
what is it?
is labradorite.
Oh, I bet you it's that
It's
because she
one of
put
my
it
favorite
close.
crystals. Let's see if I can. Labradorite.
Oh,
Right?
labradorite. Ooh, I love labradorite. Actually, I don't know if you'll be able to see it, but this ring
Oh yeah.
is
Look at that.
Yeah.
labradorite. Yeah. Okay. Yeah, it could be even that. So, you said that this Pluto retrograde is like bringing forth change. It could be that. I don't know. So you vibe how you. I
I
loved
feel
in
like
seeing it, but
no, I feel like it was like it's me resisting.
oh, gotcha. Yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
that's natural.
Like even George being a representation of myself and not allowing myself for this change.
Yeah,
Hmm.
awesome. Did you want to add anything, Jace, about the loop
The
dream,
loop. Yeah, I mean,
or just yeah, that dream in general?
I was just, it was interesting that it was a loop, and she said it was on a spaceship. So
Oh,
I'm
that's
kind of
right.
wondering, yeah, that's the thing. When I'm in areas, I really like to explore what the actual scenery in the background are, because then I'm like, okay, is this maybe a possible past life, or is this like you know, is this astral? I mean, sometimes you can feel the astral. The
Yeah.
astral's heavier. I noticed that it's really heavier when you're in the astral, and more
It
you can
was
feel,
heavy.
yeah. So maybe who knows? Maybe you were somewhere in the
Yeah.
astral. You know,
Heavy,
Yeah. Like
cold
maybe.
metal, like
Mm-hmm.
sharp and just kind of
artificial.
void of everything. I don't know. It was an odd one.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I would speculate it was astral then, because
Yeah.
it's
Yeah.
just the way it sounds like and it feels. Um, I've been to a couple of places that are kind of similar, not specifically that one that has a pool, but big old black um crystal looking or marble whatever tower, and
Yeah.
there's a throne with a something sitting in the middle of it and things tempting you to try to go take it, and I'm like, oh no, oh, that's a trap.
Yeah, that's like number
Right.
one when you see pirates,
Yeah.
you
You're
like
like, it's a
pirates
trap.
booty, and there's
Or
a skeleton there, and you're like, well, I'm not gonna go and touch any of that shit because I bet
that's a
that
yeah.
pirate thought the
No.
same thing.
Right.
Yeah.
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 Awesome. Well, this was great. So I have before we hop off, because we're going to bring this to a close here in a few minutes, but yesterday I did a Q&A in my Instagram story, and there was a question presented and it was after we did the live, so we didn't get a chance to answer in the live, but I will share this answer on Instagram on my story. And so the question essentially is, actually, you know what? I'm going to see if I should pull it up because I did not write it down. But it's about dream symbols. So let's see if I can actually get it here on my Instagram story. Sorry, guys, just one sec. Hopefully, I can do my archives if that loads. Okay, it won't show my desktop. So, anyways, essentially, the question was, why are dreams so cryptic? If it's like for the way she said it was just so like awesome. I wish I could remember her exact words. But basically, why are dreams so cryptic? Like, why are the symbolism so like so rich and intense, but almost like if it's for you, why is there just so much, like why is it so cryptic? Like why can't it just be direct and straightforward, or like the symbols be like somewhat clear? Like it can be
Is anything in
symbolic in the
life
sense of like,
clear?
right, that's a good
Is any
point.
that's the thing. It's like nothing is clear in life. You have to figure it out for yourself,
Right.
and I think that life would be extremely boring if everything was
Yeah.
given to you, all the answers were given to you. It would
Yeah.
almost feel purposeless. You're
Yeah.
discovering depths of yourself and beyond. It's complex, and even at that, like my interpretation for somebody's dream might be completely different than someone else's interpretation of that dream
Yeah.
and their own interpretation for that dream. So there's not only is it just cryptic, but it's very specific and personal to that
Yeah.
person.
And
So
I
I
think
would
that
take
was her
it
thing
honestly as
too.
a blessing.
Yeah, I agree with you. And I think she was also really like she was really mentioning like if it's your unconscious or if it's your spirit guides or whoever, and it's like your own personal message, like if it's from you, for you, to you, why is it so damn like cryptic? Like why is it just not, it doesn't have you don't have to give the answer straight away. And I feel that at times I think my biggest challenge is the waiting, which is, a challenge where you have to let it come to you, which I mean, I do that in my spiritual practice. And it's just like, you see 11:11 how many times, and you're like, what the fuck does this mean? I get it. Like it's 11:11. So like, all right, give me some, give me some more. So, but I think with dreams too, it varies. Like you get different like levels and degrees of the symbolism. Like sometimes it's like, oh, like for me with the car symbolism, as that's one of my personal recurring symbols, I know pretty much right away, like the gist of what is being presented. When I'm in a bathroom and it's gross and yucky and I can't find like a clean bathroom to relieve myself, I know that I have an emotional buildup, and I know that I'm going to have an emotional purge or whatever soon. So I feel some can be very cryptic and frustrating. And then you just have to kind of wait for more to come to you and ask for that clarity. And at other times, it can be really clear. Like, I feel like the more you do the dream work consistently, and do the record keeping, then the more you'll be able to have like clear insight of your own dream symbols and how they work.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
think it's important too that we acknowledge that like humans are very complex. You know, that's why you go to therapy for years and years and years, because if you had the
The
answers to why you're
layers.
functioning the way you are, you wouldn't have to go through all of that. But we don't, because there's so much that gets packed away. There's so much, like, I was just reading this quote from a book I'm reading, and it really, really highlights this point here. It's uh we do not always remember the things that do no credit to us. We justify them, cover them in bright lies, or the thick dust of forgetfulness. And that's something that's really important to acknowledge, because you have so many different things hidden under the surface that you may not even be aware of. And once you start to peel back those layers, things become clear. But we're not monolithic. Like, we're not all just like level things. We're humans with deep,
Mhm.
complex emotions. So just like you don't always understand why you're feeling a certain way, if everything's going great, why am I feeling so miserable? It's the same thing with dreams. Like, you're not going to have those answers right away. You have to work to get them.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, dream symbolism for most people is unique based off of their own personal experience and biased on that dream imagery. Just like
Mm-hmm.
Alexis has had, at one point she was scared of snakes. She's not anymore, but there's still, that little underlying fear that, a bad snake could come by and bite somebody or something like that.
Yeah.
Now, like
Mm-hmm.
dream dictionaries, I mean, there's tons of them and they have a lot of good information in them. But myself, I don't use them very much other than obscure references because
Yeah.
for the most part, the dream imagery is from the dreamer, and it's going to be based off of their knowledge of the imagery or their bias
Absolutely.
and their experiences.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
That
Awesome.
So
was a great
That's
question.
perfect. That was such a good question. And we have another question here from Sam Miller. So going back to the comments made about the astral, basically one of the locations you can be within in dreams. Sam says, if you consider that the astral, if that space that Alexis was in, potentially, in the spaceship, if that is potentially the astral, then what do you consider your usual dream space?
I don't have a usual dream space, if I'm being honest. It's
Yeah.
constantly changing. There are similar dream symbols.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I have dreams about being in houses, but they're never the same house, but they all feel familiar. But then I have familiar dreams in other locations. Like last night, I was walking through a field of garbage, like
Mm-hmm.
at sunset, and it was beautiful. And I turned off my senses, and I've never had that dream before. It's just,
Mm-hmm.
it always changes. Um,
Mm-hmm. So would you
but
say that, I think more so, like, would you say, I think because in general, dreams are said to exist within the astral realm or the astral plane. And
mhm.
so like, what is, how do you differentiate, like, what's the difference between like your dreams, like when your dreams are potentially in the astral versus like when they're in, say, like another dream location, like you were saying in the, like
I
what
don't
would
think
you
they're ever
consider?
not. I think they're intertwined. I don't think
Yeah.
that the dreams that I have are ever just dreams. And that's
Yeah.
my honest opinion of how I feel about them, because even the ones that are spotty and collapse, there's so much
Mm-hmm.
information. And the feelings are like, I don't have a whole lot
Yeah.
of dreams where I'm not lucid.
Mm-hmm.
And so I would say maybe on those occasions when I'm not lucid and I'm not conscious, which are very rare, maybe that's me in my just my dream realm.
Mm-hmm.
But
Mm-hmm.
99.9% of the time, I don't think there is a just I don't think they're separate.
Yeah, like the dream space is the astral in a sense. So there's
Mm-hmm.
different, I feel like there's different levels of something. I don't know. Jace, what do you have? Because this
So
is a really good question.
yeah, we I've talked about this before multiple times too with other bunch of people. And it's almost like they are kind of their same space. They're kind of not really the same space, but they're right next to each other, like
Like
really, really
layers.
close.
Yeah.
Parallel.
Oh, okay.
And
Yeah.
like dreams, like most of the time anyways, dreams feel like pockets. And yes, you can go from this pocket to that pocket. Sometimes you can walk through one and it pops into another, but I don't think they're actually
Mm-hmm.
really located close right next to each other. There might be
Mm-hmm.
some in some case. Obviously, can't really like show any way to prove that or anything like that, but
Yeah.
that's what the feeling is. And being in the astral, you tend to feel way more than you do in your dreams. And it feels
Yes.
more
Mm,
solid and more real and it's more vivid. And your
yeah.
emotions,
Absolutely.
you actually get the emotional energy around you. So you can feel things around you. And I mean, when she was started saying it feels kind of alien, it felt like void, and it felt like she knew that it was bad because she probably felt that it was bad because of the emotions of what's going into that pool, and they're just going away and dying and coming right back like a endless cycle of just death or whatever you want to call it,
Yeah,
expiring.
absolutely.
And
And
so
that's why I
go ahead.
sorry.
Yeah. No, I was
I was
done.
just gonna say that's why I don't feel like they're separate, because when I say I close my eyes in one realm and open them in another, that's exactly how it feels. It just feels like I'm waking up in another place. I'm living my life in another place. And it's funny because the dream I had this morning where it was musical. I was at a thing and we were all taking turns doing karaoke, and my husband woke me up in real life. And when I went back to sleep, I woke up sitting in the seat that I was in before I woke up in real life.
Mm-hmm.
And I had missed my turn because I went to sleep. And
Oh,
I asked the
Oh,
girl who was
wow.
next to me why she didn't wake me up.
Yeah.
So it was just like a weird, it was,
that's great.
I don't think they're ever separate for me, honestly.
Yeah. Yeah, I feel the way I perceive it is I kind of group it all together too. Like I'm like, okay, dreams exist in the astral plane. And then also like what you said, Jace, there's different pockets, I guess you could say. And that's a good way to like almost like different, like if we think about our physical reality here on earth and how there are like countries and cities and states and all of these things, right, all existing on one celestial body on
Or
this planet.
you could say planets
It's
too.
like,
It's like space
yeah,
with planets.
right. So it's like I feel like the astral is like another,
Web.
yeah, it's kind of like a whole solar system or universe or whatever on its own, where it might have these different planets. And I feel when I'm thinking about what we were talking about as far as the astral, and in Alexis's specific case, what came forth for me was that it felt like very voidy, like you're in like a transitional space, like you're not
Yes.
in on this planet or that planet, like you're kind of in the in
In
between,
between.
but still more in the dream realm.
Hmm.
Because I've had experiences that I also consider the astral, like in that lane or plane of existence, is what I call the in between, where I'm very, very close to this realm, this plane on like when we're awake. And so there's different like thresholds and yeah, in different like, yeah. So that's such a beautiful question. Thank you. I have so much to think about now.
I'm
And
loving this
yeah,
question.
I love it. I love it.
Yep.
So thank you too so much for being here. Thank you for those of you watching live. Thanks, Sam, for your comments and your questions. Amazing. We love the engagement. And just want to let you know that Alexis and I are facilitating a lucid dream circle. It begins May 7th. It's online via Zoom for 5 weeks. And if you want to learn more, you can go to my website, uraniauniverse.com/backslash/lucid dream circle. And yeah, registration closes this Sunday, May 5th. So definitely jump on that if you are interested. And oh, let me show you the candle. This is pretty much like almost out.
Oh
So
my
look at that. And look
God.
how strong that flame is.
Yeah.
Oh my God, that's wonderful. I love that. It's so
So
much
I love
energy.
it.
And
Right.
like
And I love the formation that your candle has going on.
my candle is just a
It's
hot
like a
mess.
fountain. I
It
love it.
is.
It's like a fountain. Like it's giving me like the Ace of Cups vibes. I love
Yes.
it. But it's
And I
mixed
was
with the
really
fire
connected to this
energy.
Mm.
blue like for some reason this blue has just been like, look at it.
I
Oh, you can't
love
see it
it.
from
That's
that area. It like
perfect.
got really big for a second. Ah.
Yeah.
Right. Because didn't it start out black, but it transitioned to blue?
Yeah.
It
Was it
was
a black
actually a
candle or was it blue?
very, very dark blue and transitioned to like this sky
Oh,
blue.
I
But
love
close, yeah,
that.
close enough.
Yes, I love that. So Sam says, thank you guys so much for allowing me to be a part of your wonderful conversation. So thought-provoking. Yes, definitely
Thank
join us again
you.
next week. We will be here again
Please.
at 9 p.m. Eastern time. And please like the video. If you enjoy this, please share this with someone that you think would enjoy it and join us next week. Thank you, everyone. Bye.
Bye.
Bye.